and eroded freedoms? At tac-us.org, we're fighting back. We're the Transparency Accountability Coalition, a non-profit defending your constitutional rights. No partisanship, just principle. From protecting free speech to demanding transparency, we're here for you. Visit tac-us.org to learn more and join the movement. tac-us.org, because your rights deserve a voice. Act now.
What's going on? It's Celiac here, and this video comes from Cammed Up Caveman. And if you don't know who this guy is, you need to go over there, subscribe to him, because he's dealing with some poopy stuff in some place I'm not going to talk about. We're just going to hop into this.
And if you don't know who this is, and I can't imagine anybody knowing my channel and not knowing who this is, but if you don't, he is the Armed Fisherman. And I know he doesn't look like much, and his shirt's funny, you know, it's orange and says guns, but this guy walks around one of the two known police states in the United States with an AK strapped to his chest in public places. So don't underestimate what you may think you see here. This guy has got balls the size of Florida. But like the Armed Fisherman said, this is about Cammed Up Caveman.
I think we're trying to figure out what's going on. So, well, I guess we'll start with the state. So number 2, we're good, Mr. Huffman?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. Into the microphone.
Sorry to cut you off.
And I'll tell you, by the way, well, I think actually, deputies, question for you. For the, are there microphones in the queues where Mr. Huffman will be able to hear?
In the ceiling right there.
Okay.
So they'll just make sure they stand up and project their voice.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so number 2, we're good, Mr. Huffman?
Yes, sir.
All right, sounds good. So defense's motion number 2 is to exclude any and all testimony or evidence regarding Mr. Huffman's potential social media activity, and we reserved on that because I think we're trying to figure out what's going on.
So the defense's motion, aka Caveman's motion, or lawyer's motion, their motion, is to not allow any testimony about him having a YouTube channel because it's a moot point. It doesn't matter what happened. He got arrested for what happened, so they're going to have the trial about what happened. You know what I mean? The fact that he recorded it and posted it to a YouTube channel doesn't mean it doesn't change what happened, and it can only hurt, not help anybody. You know what I mean? So that's what the defense wants to do. Now the judge is going to ask the state what they want to do.
Well, I guess we'll start with the state. Do you anticipate on trying to get in any social media activity, and if so, what?
What the fuck did he say? Dude, cops do that same thing when they come to the window. Hi, my name is Officer. Can you see your ID, please? And you're like, what the fuck did you just say?
Well, I guess we'll start with the state. Do you anticipate on trying to get in any social media activity, and if so, what?
This is what he said to the best that I could hear. Do you anticipate on trying to get in any social media activity, and if so, what? Okay, so this is before the trial or whatever. I guess the beginning of it. I don't know how you want to categorize it, but the most important things that are going to come of this aren't what happens to him or what happened or whatever. They're in these next 4 or 5 sentences or little exchange, and what the lawyer says are the most important parts of what's going to come out of this in the future. Now, I'm not saying in a week or two. I'm saying in years from now, months from now. You know what I mean? This is very, very important, and everybody needs to see what is happening here, and it be explained.
Well, I guess we'll start with the state. Do you anticipate on trying to get in any social media activity, and if so, what?
Yes, Your Honor. First off, Mr. Huffman, can you hear me?
I can. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So, first, Your Honor, I think, if I could bring up a fundamental issue of the case.
I'm all ears.
So, I jumped on this case recently, and I think the state and the defense are probably in agreement that a fundamental issue here is Mr. Huffman's right to the First Amendment, and whether or not the speech that he gave and the conduct that, happened at the city council meeting on February 15th, 2024 is protected by the First Amendment and, his freedom of expression. I would argue that that is a question of law that should be made to you, and it's your decision based off of the case law and just the precedent of First Amendment rights, whether or not his words are protected by the First Amendment, and that should have been something that would have been asserted in a motion to dismiss this case. I don't think that it is a question for the jury to decide whether his rights are protected by the First Amendment, and we anticipate that defense being asserted. And I think that that's an issue we should address outright right now.
Well, does that have to do with the social media activity or no?
I think it's part of it.
So she was asked about a social media activity that she wanted to get in. I'm assuming that means as evidence or whatever. And then she spent all that time we just heard talking not about social media activity and evidence getting in. So, which means everything that she said right there, she specifically wanted that to be on the record for some reason. So that's what we need to look at. We're going to go back and check it out, but I just want to go a little bit further because there's some more important shit about to happen right now.
But
Well, what is the social media activity?
so the social media activity is the defendant, Mr. Huffman, has a prominent YouTube channel called CamW.
Did you hear that? She said your channel is prominent. That's kind of like a you know what I mean? A compliment, I would think, right? But anyways, I was watching this. I was recording this with my phone, obviously recording my TV because copyrights and fucking bullshit, whatever. I don't know. But like whenever she said that, I was like, sorry. I made an exclamation out loud because I was, I knew that's all it was going to be is just the fact that he has a YouTube. You know what I mean? Which again is a moot point.
And has a prominent YouTube channel called CamW.
Oh my God.
In offense, he was recording this incident and then subsequently posted it to YouTube, where it got many comments, many...
Hold on.
Now, she just explained that you are a member of the press because the only thing you have to do to be a member of the press is to have newsworthy information and disseminate it to the public. And she just said you got thousands of views whenever you posted it to YouTube, right? So she's saying you are a member of the press.
He has thousands of subscribers, and what I would be trying to get into when interviewing Detective Lightfoot is that during his investigation of this case, he looked into the defendant. He found his social media page, and he saw that the defendant had posted this interaction on YouTube. Part of the jury instruction for this charge is that it has to be willfully or also maliciously. And part of it is the intent aspect of he was recording this city council meeting to thereafter post it on YouTube to get likes and subscribers and make money off of his YouTube channel. It goes into the intent aspect of why he was there to begin with, why he was recording, and he wasn't just recording the city council meeting to just record it. He knew that a disruption was going to occur. That's why he had his camera on.
Well, what statement or I'm not following what you're saying so far. What statement or posting or whatever? What do you anticipate that you're getting in evidentiary-wise to show that?
Just that the detective found that he had posted this video on social media.
Okay. So just that fact.
And that he has a social media called CamW Caveman, which this video was posted to, and that it got likes. We wouldn't be asking about any of the other videos that he has on his page. We're not introducing any of those videos. It literally... Okay, just wanted to make sure. So, first, Your Honor, I think, if I could bring up a fundamental issue of the case.
I'm all ears.
So, I jumped on this case recently, and I think the state and the defense are probably in agreement that a fundamental issue here is Mr. Huffman's right to the First Amendment.
Right there, that just shows you they're starting to get shady. The way she referred to his right to the First Amendment, like his right to, like she's talking about it like they're two things. Like your First Amendment rights is one thing, you know what I mean? She's talking about them like for example, here on the left is Caveman and his First Amendment rights. All his rights is that thing above his head. And not what he's holding, that's his camera, but this thing above his head. It constantly follows him around like a cloud. That's just, a cloud of awesome. And it's those are his rights, constantly following him around. That's how it is. But what she wants you to believe is that this thing over here on the right, the Constitution that says rights on it, it's a piece of paper with the word rights written down on it. She wants you to think that his rights are sitting right here waiting for him because he has the right to go over there and get his rights. You know what I mean? That's the way she's making you visualize it, right? But it's not, she's not giving him or recognizing his right to go get his rights. His rights are always there. Anyways, I know this sounds really like elementary, but the thing is whenever you start making these distinctions, that's when lawyers start to get shady. And this is the beginning of the shadiness. He doesn't have a right to go get his rights. They're always above his head, following him around. So this is the way it is. Your rights are always following you around. They're yours, and then the Constitution here on the right is a piece of paper with the word right, just to remind us. You know what I mean? If it were the other way around and it were like this, and the Constitution had your rights, it was the rights, and you didn't have them over your head, what would happen when you go to court? Yeah, that's exactly right. The court would be in the way of your rights. You know what I mean? And it's not up to them to be in the way or get out of the way or allow you to go get them. You know what I mean? Because they're yours, right? Which is very specifically why she wants the judge to make this decision, because the judge views your rights just like I showed. Like, they view it as if it's something they're the gatekeeper for. Like, they're going to move over and just unlock the gate so you can go get your rights, you know, that they have of yours or whatever. Or you can unlock it and walk over to the constitutional, you know, land of gold and go get your rights. And either way, this one's a real slimy one, because she's got it set up in such a way that even if they makes the right or wrong decision, depending, it doesn't matter. Either way, she's going to use it in her favor. I'll explain that later. But my whole thing is, this is all misdirection. Like, this whole court case, everything about it, because you do have your rights. They're yours. You know what I mean? So this whole case is just misdirection. And so we're just going to go sentence by sentence. Whenever she said that she was going to answer the question about what do you want to get in as far as the social media activity, and then the very first thing she says, we're going to start right there. Okay, but first, these are some things you have to understand: that filming somebody is a non-expressive activity. Non-expressive activity. I don't know why they call it that, and then just say it.
I can't.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So, first, Your Honor, I think, if I could bring up a fundamental issue of the case.
All ears.
So I jumped on this case recently, and I think the state and the defense are probably in agreement that a fundamental issue here is Mr. Huffman's right to the First Amendment.
Okay, right now, if you're not shaking in your boots, you should be, because anytime the state brings up anything to do with your constitutional rights in a case about you, there is no doubt shady shit going on, right? And there's no different here, right? So she says, and rightfully so, she says that it is a fundamental part of this case, and she thinks that the defense would agree that the First Amendment is a fundamental part of this case. And I agree too, it is. But not because or for the reasons that she's going to state. It's for the reasons that she doesn't state. I'll explain.
Probably in agreement that a fundamental issue here is Mr. Huffman's right to the First Amendment, and whether or not the speech that he gave and the conduct that, you know, happened at the city council meeting on February 15th, 2024 is protected by the First Amendment and, you know, his freedom of expression.
All right, and that right there is all I need to know I know exactly now what their intent is, how they're going to do it, and why they're doing it, and what they're going to use to do it with. Because here's the thing. She said freedom of expression, and none of this needs to be said in a motion eliminate or at all. Every single thing that she just brought up has already been decided and has already had precedent set and is already a thing, right? For example, the very first thing was the First Amendment and whether his speech that he gave or the conduct that happened, right? First of all, again, this explains everything. Here's what I mean. The precedence has already been set. Number one, the First Amendment allows for freedom of press. He recorded an event and he published it to the world, and multiple people watched it from the public, right? So he's disseminating information to the public through recording, which is absolutely 100% protected by freedom of press, right? So that covers the bases there. Now, unless his sign created an actual altercation or somebody did what was on his sign, for example, it says they can suck my dick, right? Unless people pulled their dicks out and then just started getting sucked off right there in public, then his words on his sign aren't in violation of any amendment or whatever. You know what I'm saying? They have First Amendment protections unless they're either true threats or they're going to likely to cite immediate violence or immediate whatever it says on the sign, right? So unless people saw that sign and immediately jumped up and started punching each other because of that sign, or immediately started fucking jacking people off and sucking dicks around the meeting, then it's protected, right? And that is 100% in stone. He is protected by freedom of press and by the freedom of speech, right? But what she's trying to do is conflate speech with conduct and somehow connect whatever happened at the meeting and blah, blah, blah to what his signs said, right? And then also to the fact that he's filming, right? So speech is speech, talking is talking, and then conduct is acting, right? So, but just simply with that saying, gave a speech, the speech that he gave, that is conflating conduct with your speech, even though they're two separate things, right? She's saying the speech that he gave, like physically giving somebody something, is creating an idea or a visual or an actual event of you physically giving somebody something, which is conduct. You handing somebody something is conduct, right? But you standing there and talking is not. Now, it's not an accusatory phrase that she's using, but what I'm saying is she's using that phrasing to get everybody else that's listening familiar with the fact that speech and conduct are the same thing. It's to keep you from mentally separating the two, you know what I mean? And even if told, it's still to keep you from believing it, you know what I mean? Now, it is very important that we never, ever mix the two up and pretend that they're the same thing. Speech needs to stay separate from conduct because they are two separate things. Once your speech and conduct are connected and you say something somebody doesn't like, then that can literally be considered a physical attack, you know what I mean? Which is absolutely fucking outrageous. But the state could claim that and, you know, probably prosecute you over it. But anyways, that's number one, is they want speech and conduct to be the same thing. And that's misdirection, miscalculation, whatever. That's what they want everybody to believe, right? And then the second thing about this case, and I know a shit ton of you aren't going to believe this because AI and Google and whatever have already fucked this up for you guys, but YouTube is not social media. I repeat, it is not social media. And probably the rest of this video is going to be about that. But let me finish explaining why they want YouTube to, in this specific case, to be social media, right? Because if YouTube is like, you know, the television or like a TV network, and it's just a platform for publishing recorded video to the public and disseminating that information to the public, then he's validated as an actual reporter, and the First Amendment protects what he did. You know what I mean? As publishing a video. But if YouTube isn't a video publishing or disseminating information source, right? If YouTube is social media, then it becomes something that he just did on his own, which could be malicious, which could be, we don't know why he did it. We don't know what he is, who he is, you know, we don't know what his job is, you know, like, so it becomes something that you personally did as opposed to something that you did, you know, to help out the you know, the world or like whatever. You heard her say, yeah, we just want to let the information in and let the know that the detective came across this page and that he had posted. Anyway, just here, listen to this real quick.
And has a prominent YouTube channel called Cammed Up Cave.
Oh my god!
Okay, the reason I reacted that way, that's when I was filming it, but the reason I reacted that way is because listen to this. Okay, we're talking about a court case here. Like he is literally charged with a crime for doing this, right? Now, in that same sentence, just replace the word YouTube, replace the word YouTube with news network, right? So she says he has a prominent news network called Canned Up Caveman that blah, 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 blah. How could you be in court for that? If you had a prominent news network, news is legal, you know what I mean? And you posted video recording to your news channel, that's not illegal, you know what I mean? So if YouTube becomes a legitimate publishing, like, you know, recognized video publishing, just like a news network, a TV network is just, all it is a platform for publishing videos to disseminate information or movies or entertainment to the public, right? That's all it does. Now, YouTube does the same thing, the exact same thing, except we are, as individuals, are allowed to do that. We don't need the approval of a news network, right? So if you just replace the word YouTube with news network, everything that he posts becomes legal and non-prosecutable, right? They don't want that. That's the issue.
Offense, he was recording this incident and then subsequently posted it to YouTube, where it got many.
And here's where the rest of this video is going to take off at, because YouTube is not social media, okay? Let's, first of all, go back to the name YouTube, right? What is YouTube, right? Well, what is your television? Right, you call it television broadcasting is disseminating information, you know, traditionally, right? Well, YouTube comes from the name BoobTube, right? And BoobTube is what they used to call televisions, because back in the day, before solid state transistors and resistors, they had vacuum tubes that transmitted the sound, right? Same thing as an old tube amp. John Felix, you know what I'm talking about. Tube amps sound better, you know what I'm saying? Boob tube, right? You could see boobs on your television. That's where they got the boob tube from, right? Now, YouTube is your version of the television. YouTube, right? Because of tube amps. All right. So it's literally saying that it's your own personal television broadcasting system to disseminate information traditionally, just like the TV was, right? That has nothing to do with social media. And just like the old TVs, they're called channels. It's your channel, right? You disseminate information that you want over this broadcast system that's yours over your channel, right? And you have subscribers. Traditionally, exactly like a television station would have people subscribe to their you know what I mean? Their whatever. I mean, I guess really you didn't have a choice, but I mean, it's 2025. You have a choice. You know what I mean? You don't have to watch it if you don't want to. Here's another thing. I mean, after the history lesson, so the intent of YouTube, right? And the intent of social media. The intent of social media has already been founded by the courts or whatever, and it's to meet and be connected with like-minded people, right? Because on social media, you can't be anonymous. I mean, unless you make up an alias or whatever, but social media is not to be anonymous. It is meant to be you connecting with other people. YouTube, you can remain anonymous and view anonymously, just like the boob tube, just like, viewers or whatever. What do they call them? Not subscribers, but what's it called? The ratings, right? You know what I'm saying? You're just another rating, right? Because social media, you can't do that. And social media, you actually have to click. Like, if you wanted to find news, you couldn't just search it. You couldn't just search what happened, like Clearwater, Florida, cammed up caveman. You couldn't just search that. You'd have to find his name and friend request him and have him accept it, and then you'd be able to post again. And even if you do post video on social media, it disappears, right? And YouTube content is forever, just like the news. It's documented fact and documented history, right? Just like the news. So also too, YouTube has viewer initiated playback, right? On Facebook, it's just a feed. It just feeds you whatever the fuck it gives you. You know what I'm saying? So again, there's another huge distinction between social media and YouTube.
What I would be trying to get into when interviewing Detective Lightfoot is that during his investigation of this case, he looked into the defendant. He found his social media page. No,
he didn't. Because until this came out, we didn't even know his name, right? His name's Cammed Up Caveman. It doesn't say anywhere on any of these what his name is until you guys brought it to attention. So it's not, you didn't do research on him and found his page, right? You just searched the city council meeting and Cammed Up Caveman came up, and then you illegally found his name, right? And then, did whatever you did. You didn't come across it or did research on it. You just typed in the fucking search just like anybody else did, jackasses. You can't claim that you can't claim that sitting around watching TV all day and watching news programs is doing investigative work. That's stupid. That's against the First Amendment. That's against the freedom of press. It's against everything that America stands for, you jackasses.
And he saw that the defendant had posted this interaction on YouTube.
Okay, so if I was to not have seen it on Mr. Cammed Up Caveman's channel, right, where would I go see it? And this part blows my mind, how this lady can answer this question and people still think that she literally distinguishes between YouTube and social media and tells us exactly what televising, and listen to this. This is their answer when it asked if they can go, when and how and where they can view this on a normal basis.
That were present. Not to mention, the whole entire time that he was stating those things, he was holding a camera in their face.
What does this lady think, we're stupid? He literally holds the camera above his own head, right? Not nowhere near their face. If anything, it's in their bald spot area, you know what I'm saying, above them. And number two, here, look at this. Whose camera is in whose face right here? You tell me. Exactly. The cop, right? And whenever this so-called whatever happened, dude, she says that he was pointing a camera in their face, right? Is that true? Or did their faces come to his camera?
Shut up! Don't talk to me. I won't say nothing. That's how it is. You don't talk to me.
Fuck the police.
Yeah, amen. There you go. Maybe two.
Free speech.
So what? Go ahead. You made a promise. Well, get up and do something.
Then, thereafter, went and posted it on YouTube. Use your common sense as to why he was recording that day.
His back was
He wasn't
literally
there
against
just
the wall.
recording a city council meeting. When you use your common sense and you look at the context and the way that he used it and the people that he directed it to, it was malicious. Again, he said it with his chest.
Aware that there are city council meetings?
Yes.
How often do they usually occur?
Typically,
Use your common sense, okay? This lady is about to describe the difference between YouTube and social media and what televising something is on YouTube, okay? Here we go. This is a question about how we would normally see this if not for Cammed Up Caveman.
It's twice a month on the first and third Thursday of the month.
And are you present at these meetings?
Yes,
Are you present in all of them usually?
just about.
And are the meetings televised?
Yes.
Where can where can an avid viewer find it?
You can look on YouTube. We do stream it on the city's closed captioning channel, so Seaview. It is on our website as well, and I know during the meetings they televise it on social media.
Oh, so there is a difference between YouTube and social media, like she just described, right? And if you want to pay for cable and go to a closed captioning, channel that you will never ever watch ever again, whatever. But like she said, the prominent one is YouTube, right? Because it is different than social media. And like she described, and we also put it on social media, you know what I mean? But it disappears off social media. So again, just more evidence that he is an actual journalist. And then this is First Amendment protected activity. Freedom of the press.
part of the jury instruction for this charge is that it has to be willfully or also maliciously. And part of it is the intent aspect of.
Well, then the city is maliciously broadcasting it too, because they broadcast it to YouTube just like he did. Use your common sense, people. Use your common sense. That's all I'm going to say. Use your common sense.
He was recording this city council meeting to thereafter post it on YouTube to get likes and subscribers and make money off of his YouTube channel. It goes into the intent aspect of why he was there to begin with, why he was recording, and he wasn't just recording the city council meeting to just record it. He knew that a disruption was going to occur. That's why he had his camera on.
Well, what statement, or I'm not following what you're saying so far. What statement or posting or whatever? What do you anticipate that you're getting in evidentiary-wise to show that?
Just that the detective found that he had posted this video on social media.
Okay. So just that fact.
And that he has a social media called Cammed Up Caveman, which this video was posted to, and that it got likes. We wouldn't be asking about any of the other videos that he has on his page. We're not introducing any of those videos.
Because they're going to show that he's a legit source of news and that he is way better than all the rest of them, because he doesn't just wait for the ending or the explosion or the police press interview. He doesn't wait for any of that. He literally follows them around and gets the news like a freaking bat out of hell behind a cop. Of course, because he's following a bat out of hell, a cop.
It literally is